right, I am Moses Humphrey and I welcome you to Political Voice. Now, before we get into the talking points today, let's look at political stories from around the world, starting off with India. Now, Indian authorities say no fewer than 11 persons have been killed and 50 others injured in a train accident in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. Now, the accident took place yesterday, being Sunday, in the evening actually, after a passenger train overshot the signal and hit another train from behind on the Hura Chennai line in Vizianagaram district, which is about 68 kilometers north of Vishakhapatnam. Now that's a tongue twister. The main city of Andhra Pradesh. Now, 3 coaches were derailed from the track, and disaster response force personnel were rushed to the spot to carry out rescue work that was going on throughout the night. Now, elsewhere in Mexico, no fewer than 48 persons died when Category 5 Hurricane Otis slammed into the country's southern Pacific coast, most of them in Acapulco. As the death toll continued to climb and families continue to bury loved ones. Our hearts go out to Mexicans. Now, Mexico's Civil Defense Agency said in a statement that 43 of the dead were in the resort city of Acapulco and 5 in nearby Coyuca de Benitez. Guerrero State's governor had earlier raised the number of missing persons to 36 from 10 a day earlier. The death toll increased after authorities had raised it to 39 on Sunday. And our last stop on the global update is Japan. Now, Japan's first pilot project of a fully autonomous self-driving vehicle has been suspended after a minor accident with a parked bicycle. Well, but we cannot go any further than to head into our main topic for the day, all right? Self-driving vehicle runs into a parked bicycle. Well, that, of course, means that more work needs to be done. But this is technology. This is technology. Things are obviously changing. Oh, well. Bringing it back home now to Nigeria, let's look at what is happening around us. Now, this one broke sometime yesterday. We hear that there was an explosion at the Rivers State House of Assembly complex yesterday night, Sunday night. Now, the incident, which is, of course, the video that you're seeing on the screen when it was happening. The incident came amid alleged moves by some lawmakers to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara. A report has it that some suspected arsonists threw an explosive into the complex around 9:25 p.m., causing a fire in the building. And it was gathered that some properties inside the chamber were destroyed. A police officer who pleaded anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the incident claimed it was politically motivated. Now, it was also gathered that arrangements have been concluded by some lawmakers in the state legislature to first impeach the House leader, Edison Ehie, to pave way for Fubara's removal. The House leader is said to have been blocking moves aimed at removing Fubara. Now, reports say that the police and other security operatives had taken over the complex as about 17 security trucks and 1 armored personnel carrier were stationed at the entrance and surroundings. It is the latest blow to efforts worldwide to promote, it's a sorry one if you ask me, and an unfortunate one that fire will engulf the State House of Assembly complex there. Now let's come to my guest in the studio. I have with me in the studio Moses. He always likes when I call his middle name. Makes him feel like he's in touch with where he's from. But I remember the day I asked him to speak his local dialect, he couldn't. But anyway, I'll still call his full name. His name is Moses Orishejolomi Adebayo. Good to have you with me in the studio. I had to throw that jab first.
Talk of Ketu calling pot black. I see you can speak your own language. I dare you to speak your language.
Should we go at it now? Should we go at it?
in your language.
Anyway, it's not. Let's get
Good morning
into
to everyone watching and listening wherever you are.
All right, welcome to Political Voice.
Thank you very much.
Now, what do you make of that incident, the fire at the State House of Assembly?
I would rather bring the eyes
State
first, and that is that somebody said the SIM card is about to be removed from an iPhone or Android or whatever now. Siminalayi Fubara, who was single-handedly installed by the godfather of Rivers politics, who happens to be the current minister of the FCT. This is the classic case of a godson trying to be his own man. Politics is well written over this. Here, from your prologue, an apt one as usual, a police officer pleaded anonymity, but he can easily tell that this is well politically motivated. What could bring about that? Or the House leader, he is about to be removed to pave way for the removal of the governor. When you think of it, it's just 6 months down the line, or thereabouts. What could really go wrong?
Do you think, because we know that Wike, the godfather in quotes now in this case, seems to have fallen out with his godson, Siminalayi. Do you think this is as a result of that?
You are stating the obvious. Truth is, it's a trend in Rivers politics. It has happened since the dawn of this ongoing unbroken democracy. It started with Governor Odili, Peter Odili, who installed an Amechi, who was his boy, as the House Speaker then. But some things went all right. Amechi contested, thinking he had the back of, that the governor had his back. But the governor, in quotes, backstabbed him, brought in his cousin, Celestine Umehia, who was removed by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said this was a case that should never be a precedent, and on and on. An Amechi in government had an acolyte in a certain then unknown Nyesom Wike, who later became a minister of state, who felt he had grown to be his own man. And when they succeeded Amechi against all the odds, turned fiercely against Amechi. Today, they will never say eye to eye. Now Wike is going through his own. What comes around, as they say, what goes around comes around. But my unfortunate issue with our politics is that we have many unsuspecting followers who will follow these men, not reading between the lines, and end up become broken into parts. Governance is suffering, will always suffer. Because when politics should take a second base or third base, once the official has emerged at any tier of government, at any arm of government, then governance should take place. Governance is the reason we are a federation, whether at the federal level, state, or even local. We want governance, basic amenities provided. But this will suffer because politics still takes the rough shot. It still rides the rough shot. Now, the House of Assembly complex has been bombed or has been gutted with fire, and these arsonists have been accused. Who are these arsonists? I hope they will not go the way of unknown arsonists, because now we have so many adjectives describing things in Nigeria, unknown gunmen, as though they came from Mars. So it's a classic case of one who is supposed to be a stooge trying to tell the world that I will not remain so. I want to be my own man. And the man that put him there is telling you, how dare you? So this is what's going on. Only that, as against what happened during Odili and Amechi, this is way too early, way too early. And it's unfortunate that Rivers will be plunged into this mess at the detriment of the people, because this is a case of an elephant, 2 elephants fighting, or 3 now. The grass will surely suffer. The grass is the innocent man, innocent Calabarian, Ahoada man in a river state that will just not enjoy peace. And whatever happens in rivers, most times, will always be accompanied by unnecessary bloodshed. This is their story, and it should not be told again. Unfortunately, it is in quitting, it's forming again. And we can only imagine what happens after now.
Now, you know that this is coming on the heels of a lot of unrest in Rivers State. Already we're talking about cult killings in which a policeman was also
A police DPO,
a police, yes,
was
Angbashim
beheaded.
was beheaded, indeed. Now, looking at it this way, do you think that everything, the unrest, the cult activities, because the cults seem to have taken over a section of the state, do you think everything has to do with politics?
Inevitably, undoubtedly.
Now, how does this move to impeach, this alleged move to impeach the governor, how do you think it plays out in terms of securing the state?
I'm going to answer your question as in it's a case of coming from the answer to the question. The more doors that are open for all these vices, the worse the crisis will, become. They will only go geometrically. The unrest or the unfortunate killing of the DPO is still very much fresh. Lawmakers in Rivers State, men that have been given power, not by fiat now, but by the people, electorate, go there, represent us, give us good governance, provide all we should have as a state, are busy taking sides. Cultism has ever been a trouble with Rivers State. It's like a second nature of an average Riverian. And all of this will now come together, they aggregate, and they form as in green, to call it green-eyed monsters now will be understating it. They become issues that may attract the federal government intervention. And this may lead to the unfortunate stance of declaring state of emergency. Who wants that? It was the what Obasanjo did is still very fresh in our minds. When you declare state of emergency because there is unpleasant situation in the state, governance comes to a standstill because the man there at the center will only take directions from the federal government. The state assembly will be suspended. The House of Rep, the Senate, they will take charge. And who are those? Since people in Rivers didn't elect the House of Rep members alone or Senate members alone, they now get to be at their mercy. And this is not democracy at all. All that has transpired in the last 3-4 months in Rivers State don't bode well at all. And what, again, my concern is, how are Riverians governed? What will they get as dividend for democracy? They went out in their thousands, in their millions to vote, thinking that, oh, we can still move a notch higher, we can move steps further. But this did not bargain for, because some men want to have continually to clash egotistically. I am superior, I brought you in there. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality we face right now. All of this, as you rightly asked, the issue of the policeman that was killed, the cultist problems in Rivers, with the current one now, they will only come together. As it is said, mystery loves company. When it rains, it pours. When one evil thing happens, it looks for as many. Let me go a bit by look. When the Lord just said how that when a demon leaves a particular habitation, when it comes back and finds the place empty, it comes back with 7 more wicked ones. This is always going to be the case of Rivers. Because this issue of the Bond National Assembly, which may lead to the impeachment of who and who, will only attract the ones that have been and possibly create more, and everywhere will be messed up. Rivers will be ungovernable, and the federal might be involved, and Riverians will have the short end of the stick. So please, whatever is right now ongoing, I hope the leaders, opinion leaders there, their fathers, I'm talking real fathers, they call these men together, and please, lives are at stake here. We know what happens in Rivers will not always end in Rivers State. It's always a major flashpoint when it comes to politics. You talk of Lagos, you talk of Kano and Rivers. It's been said over the years since democracy came back in 1999. If you get to win those states, you are likely going to emerge as a president. So it tells you how important, how significant Rivers State is. So let everyone, all stakeholders in Rivers State, put on their thinking cap and ensure that this is stopped immediately. Otherwise,
all right, now let's look at the grounds on which the governor can be impeached. What legal grounds can be provided through which he can be impeached?
Simple. Let the assemblymen come out with every unconstitutional act of his. Then they will consider a panel. The chief judge of the state will be involved. And after a duration of time, they will, of course, they will serve alongside, they will serve him the impeachment notice. When they sit, the panel will sit, the chief judge will be involved. And if he's found guilty, he will be impeached. It's that simple. But now, have they even served him any impeachment notice? I don't think that's in the news. But possibly those that want him out want to bully him. And he's telling them that I'm a man of my own. I might have been held by some people, yada, 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 but I think now I hold, I'm in the office. So let me breathe, if I borrow the president's word.
Okay.
But will he breathe?
Now, from antecedents, that we have, how many godsons have we seen in Nigeria's in the politics being played in Nigeria? How many godsons have we seen survive breaking off from the godfathers that put them there?
It would be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for an average godson to get through the clutches of the godfather.
But Obaseki did.
Obaseki, has he really done that? Did he really survive? Okay, if I agree, assuming but not conceding, like my legal friends will tell you, you go back to the Lamidi Adedibos who told Ladoja then that, can you swear, even in the face of the truth, and tell a blatant lie? Because Ladoja was not going to accede to his demands. In no time, they formed a kangaroo sitting of lawmakers somewhere under the tree, and they impeached Ladoja. You go to Kano State, at the point Shekarau was an appendage of Kwakwan, so he tried to go his own way. He knew what happened to him. You still go even southeast, when the current Minister of Works, then the immediate past governor of Ebonyi State, Umahi, told his boss then, I would like to run for office. It became, as they will say, yam pepper scatter scatter. You go to this state now, she should not elude me now, Ondo State, Loki Aiyedatiwa, who was ever faithful to Akeredolu, suddenly became ambitious, and they tell him, no, it's not your right. You go to Edo State, and on and on. It's always a case of, out of every 10 cases, maybe only 1 or 2 godsons will have what we call a Pyrrhic victory, a victory that is that's still like the defeat. But on the whole, take Ngige in the early days of our democracy, second cycle of the Fourth Republic, when the Uba brothers did all to ensure that he emerged. He got to office, he felt he deserved to breathe, but they ensured that he didn't breathe. They removed him. So these men are very powerful. They are not only powerful physically, they have the state machinery at their disposal, and they even go diabolical. Remember the Okija Shrine Sega, when Mugi said we swear to this, we didn't swear to that. So they go as in they employ just about anything to ensure that that boy, because that's how they refer to whoever they install. And even in the Southwest, it's often said that Baba Sokwe, if you don't listen to what Baba has said, what Baba has saw, you're on your way out. But it's unfortunate. Look, we won't pretend that it is El Dorado anywhere. You always need people to, you don't get there by fiat, you don't get there because you are divinely ordained or divinely orchestrated. No, you need people that will take you there. But will these people let you be when you get to the office? That's another question
now, how does this speak to the fact that that the Constitution has to be rejigged in such a way that private individuals can run for political offices without the platform of a political party? How does this speak to that?
Well, theoretically speaking, yes, but practically it's almost non-feasible, and I'll tell you why. Even the paradigm of democracy, presidential democracy in America, I've ever had an independent candidate win the presidency. It's almost impossible. At least till now, it's impossible. The closest they ever got was, I think, the immediate past senator from Vermont, Senator Richard, what's this man's name? It tells me now. Before him, there was a certain Ross Perot. he was an independent candidate. Joseph Lieberman. The best they ever got being independent candidates were they became senators from their states. But the bridge getting to the White House was always too far. You need more than enough, more than your personality, more than your aura, more than your belief, more than your greatness. It will always come short. Hence, the need for a platform almost all the time. It is one thing for there to be a political arrangement, a constitutional alignment that, oh, you can as well go independent. But will you get to the office? Because the ultimate aim of politics is to capture power. Your government 101. Another political party goes out there because they want to capture power. That's what they want. So if a party will have to come together by virtue of ideologies, lapsing, coming together, it's almost going to be impossible for an individual to attain those executive offices. Legislative powers, possibly, because these are districts. These are where issues of gerrymandering, they as a delineation, they break them into bits that they can possibly affect things. But on a very large scale, gubernatorial, presidential, it's almost impossible. Maybe at the local government level, the third tier of government, you can as well come out as an individual and possibly win. But not almost impossible at a guber level or a presidential level, almost impossible. So that will come up. It may be signed into law. The constitution may be rejigged, may be reformed, may be amended, but that would never possibly guarantee that whoever runs alone, goes solo, flies solo, will win. Almost impossible.
All right then. Now let's drop this one here as we move on to our second topic. Now, retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Musa Datijo Mohammed, has accused the Chief Justice of Nigeria, that's Justice Olukayode Ariwola, of abusing the powers of his office. Now, Justice Mohammed took the opportunity of a valedictory session that was organized in his honor by the Supreme Court on Friday to address what he observed as rots in the judiciary that have continued to affect the justice delivery system in the country. He maintained that the judiciary, as presently structured, gave so much power to the CJN, who he said usually takes decisions without consulting other justices. Now, on the current composition of the bench of the Apex Court, Justice Mohammed alleged that the refusal to fill the vacant slot of the Southeast on the Apex Court bench was deliberate, blaming it on absolute powers vested in the office of the CJN. He further stressed that with his retirement, the North Central Zone, which he represents, would no longer have a justice on the Supreme Court bench. Now, on the issue of membership of the panel that heard the presidential election appeals by candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and the Labour Party, LP, Mr. Peter Obi, Justice Mohammed said, and I quote, "To ensure justice and transparency in presidential appeals from the lower court, all geopolitical zones are required to participate in the hearing. It is therefore dangerous for democracy and equity for two entire regions to be left out in the decisions that will affect the generality of Nigerians." End quote. Now, Moses, I see that the cold in the studio has gotten to you. You've been humbled. You had to put on your suit. Okay. Now let's
actually, I want to absorb more heat.
This issue. Let's get into this issue now. The powers vested in the CJN, and the fact that the CJN is an appointee of the president,
ratified by the NJC, Judicial Council.
Ratified by the NJC. According to Justice Datijo, do you see Nigerians, especially the judicial system in Nigeria, recovering from the stigma that it has been washed with in recent time?
You know what? Somebody, I mean, when I heard this story over the weekend, someone said, what's the name of the justice that, gave the interview? The retired justice said, Justice Dati. Said, Dati Baba Ahmed's elder brother. I don't know about that. The immediate past.
His is Dati Joe.
Dati. That is, one is Baba, that's Baba Ahmed. One is, but that aside, look, I tread with care here. I take on this with fear and trembling, knowing that the judiciary should be, well, a bastion of righteousness, of rectitude, bulwark of doing things right, that they refer to as the hope of the common man. It's not just one lazy maxim there. They actually should be. Because when you consider the fact that the executive is almost almighty, the legislative is almost almighty, then the judiciary should come to the aid of the powerless, the voiceless. The politics that have that's engulfed the judiciary in the past decade is unfortunate. If you go back from the days of Justice Isaiah Alu now, the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, who wanted to bring in a certain Justice Ayola from the Court of Appeal to become one of the justices at the Supreme Court, and that one, Ayola rejected the promotion. You go back to the days of the immediate past Chief Justice Mohammed, who told the world that he was sick and he had to leave on health grounds. The people refuted it and all manner of stories. Adewola came in. There was this, whether he was born in 1956 or 1954, and on and on. Really, the judiciary has not covered itself in glory. But Justice Dati made these wild allegations, or narrow allegations, whichever way you see it from now. Some have said, why didn't you say this while you were in the court? Although I take a bit of digression from his opinion. How? I've read again and again. The Chief Justice of Nigeria is just a first among equals. He becomes the Chief Justice by virtue of his seniority, by virtue of his longevity in court, how long he's practiced, and those are the factors that are, and he's just most times a tiebreaker. If you consider what transpired during the judgment, Yar'Adua versus Buhari, after 2007 election, the very contentious one, at a point, it got to a point where four of them, felt Buhari won the case. 4 felt Yar'Adua won the case. So it boiled down to the Chief Justice, who now gave a political answer. He took a political step. He felt for the sake of peace, he voted on the side of Yar'Adua. Now, when justices give political judgment or verdict, then you know that it is beyond all the legal terms, all the legal routes they should take. Because ordinarily, their judgment should be guided by the laws of the land, by their own norms, by their own acts. But when they throw all this aside and go political, then you know that it is beyond, and for the sake of issues that are beyond even the law, because I know that the law is meant for man, no man for the law. There comes a time when some laws become obsolete, hence amendment. So, Justice Dati giving phantom powers to the CJN, I see it as phantom powers. The CJN is not, possibly has, or he had some differences with the incumbent Chief Justice now, maybe, whatever goes between them is their business. But to arrogate such powers to him is not entirely true. The CJN, as I've said, is there by merit, by appointment, not by election. And that's why we've called for again and again that if we actually copy America, as we've said, from 1979 when we became a presidential system, just in our original parliamentary way of doing things, if we truly copy them, then let's copy them in its entirety. Not that the executive will come in via the votes of the people, the legislative will come in via the votes, but the judiciary is by appointment. It does not stay well. It's imbalanced everywhere. In America, that we copy, and a justice of any court at any level jurisdictionally is elected. Though the election is quite different. It's not a case of Justice A versus Justice B from these parties. No. What it is that an average justice is only campaigning against himself. How do I mean? It is from republic in a way, how that the justice may need 100 votes. If Justice A is presented, if he does not get 100 votes, he is not deemed to be good enough for that office. If Justice B comes up, okay, he must, before he becomes the judge of this particular place, this court, he requires so and so vote. If he does not get it by way of election, he still will not get it until they get that judge that will get the normal votes and votes required. So, but put it whichever way now, whether it's a pseudo election, whatever, just know that they are elected. So they are answerable to the electorate. Although theirs is specialized, unlike the legislators or the executive members, whereby it's always a statewide or a nationwide issue. In their own cocoon, they are still voted. So it still has this aura of election around it, so that he is subject to some people. Unlike here in Nigeria, they get there by merit, by way of their stay in court, they are by way of appointment. And that's where we have this. So he's not an all-powerful justice or chief judge. No.
Okay, you say he's not an all-powerful.
No.
But let's look at the points raised by Mohammed Datijo.
Okay.
All right. Emphasis on the name Datijo. Yeah. Now, let's look at the points that he raised. He says, as presently structured, the CJN is chairman of the NJC, which oversees both the appointment and discipline of judges. He's equally chairman of the Federal Judicial Service Commission, FJSC. Now, he's chairman of that one. He's also the National Judicial Institute Legal Practice. He's also chairman of the National Judicial Institute, NJI, the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, LPPC, and now that appoints Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Now, as chairman of NJC, FJSC, NJI, and LPPC, appointments as council, board, and commitment members are at his pleasure. That's what he says. That's what. Okay. And then he also, that teacher also went on to say that he neither confers with fellow justices nor seeks their counsel or input on any matter related to these bodies. He has both the final and the only say. That's according to retired Justice Mohammed Datijo. He went on, I'm going to stretch this a little bit. He went on to say that the CJN has the power to appoint 80% of members of the council and 60% of members of FJSC. Now, the same applies to NJI and LPPC. 80% here, 60% here. That is more than half.
I am
enough to have an influence.
I am not in a position to controvert what my Lord, his Lord Chief Justice, that is said. Only that, as I said, it is strictly a position assumed by appointment, by merit. Oh, you've been there, you go through the ranks. Hence, its powers will always be limited. I sense...
Limited by whom?
I sense... Listen, I sense there's something personal between the two of them. I sense so. I may be wrong. You are a man of means.
You sense what? A rift between the two of them?
I sense that. I may be wrong, but the tone of my Lord Justice Dati possibly implied that. You're a man of means, Moses. Possibly you are on several boards of different companies. You know that when you have your AGMs, when you have your meetings, you have this. Even if you're a chairman or one of the members, the stakeholders, shareholders, you know that the chairman, when they call anybody a chairman, is just at best, a first among equals, if that is the case. He hasn't got an almighty, non-contending, omniscient and omnipotent abilities so that he says that it's done. Virtually anything done on the board is put to vote. And most times it's only going to be a tiebreaker. Oh, maybe there is a case of no clear winner. Okay, chairman, will you come in now? That's about the power they enjoy. Anything that has to do with appointments, that has to do with board meetings and the like. It's only, in fact, the only arm of government where you have no equal with the leader is the executive. The president is no equal with any minister. He appoints them at his pleasure, so he can hire and fire. And God help you if you have someone with tendencies and dictatorial tendencies, then you are in for it. Even among legislators, the Senate president is just a force among equals, because he got there like every other senator. We have 109 senators in Nigeria. He didn't get there because 2 districts voted him. Only a district voted him. But within their house, for the sake of administration, direction, there won't be chaos. There will always be a need for a leader. So he emerges from the ranks. His fellow senators put him there. Not that Nigerians still go back to vote, or maybe his district members, or no. His member senators. That's why I remember during Senator Bukola Saraki's presidency as a Senate leader, Senate president then, some senators were so much at odds with him, considering how he became Senate president. They never referred to him as Senate president. They were always saying Senator Bukola Saraki. I remember there was a tussle between Senator Bukola Saraki, then the Senate president, and Ovi Omagige. Then was one of the, I think it was the chief whip thereabout. He will always refer to him as Senate president, and he once told Bukola Saraki to his face that you can't, the worst you can do is take me out of any of these committees or not give me an appointment. But you cannot make me as a senator. That is entirely the power of the electorate. So only the executive leaders now, president or governor, or maybe even a local government chairman now, only those ones have that power when they can be, because they are not colleagues with any of the appointees, no. But the legislature and way less the judiciary, you have them as I've said, I've said again and again, he gets there by appointment. So his powers surely will be limited. Why do you think we have fewer elected offices than appointment offices? In Nigeria, said roughly 10,000 elective offices in Nigeria, as in across board, across the 3 tiers of government. And we have more than 80,000 or thereabouts of appointed offices across board as well. So it tells you how not so powerful appointed offices are. So the Chief Justice gets there because he's a force among equals, if that is the right way to even describe him. So for Justice Dati to have said all this, I'm not in this too. But the 80% is even talking about, the 60% is alluding to how powerful, how significant are these boards, are these committees when it comes to real power also in Nigeria. They play into significance. He has a power, he has his powers, yes, as Chief Justice. But these are powers that are only minimal, that are only going to be for tie breaking. He's just a ceremonial head at best. So I sense there is a tussle between the two of them, as you've said, a rift. And he's now out of office, he has retired, possibly has some hurt, I don't know. It's now incumbent on the Chief Justice, if he has to reply, he has a right of reply, and the media, because you preach truth, objective, and balance. So when we hear from one side, which is Justice Dati in this case, I think it's only natural that you, the press, who are always been the middlemen, so hear from Justice Ariwola. Maybe he has to refute whatever Justice Dati has said or possibly confirm it. But silence right now from his part, the Chief Justice of Nigeria won't be golden, lest he is seen in a very different manner. The optics on right now is not very right. Let him come out and tell the world that I am what he has said I am, or I am not what he has given you the impression about me. So I think it's about the Chief Justice to just, maybe even if it's a press statement, issue some things, either to controvert certain statements made or to confirm them. But to keep quiet right now will not help his case at all.
All right then. Well, it's the information is out there in the public domain, so it's not just about the pressmen now. It's up to the CJN.
You brought to our notice.
No, but it's out there. It's out there. It's in the papers.
You are the vehicle.
It's in the media.
You are the vehicle.
It's everywhere.
You are the
so
vehicle.
Basically, it's up to the chief. It's up to the Chief Justice now to respond.
Really?
Or not? But if he has chosen to keep quiet, then he's giving people the liberty to assume that
that said is true.
Right. But let's take another statement, because we are examining statements made by the retired Justice Mohammed Datijo. Now, he also alluded to the fact that certain positions have not been filled intentionally. All right? Intentionally, yes. So you seem to already disagree without hearing what
You
what he says.
no, Moses, you have been unfair. You have been unfair. No.
Now, this is...
Are you clairvoyant?
This is...
I've not even said a thing.
No. Well, going by your response there. Well, this is what he says. He says he alleges that the refusal to fill vacant slot of the Southeast on the Apex Court bench was deliberate, blaming it on absolute powers vested in the office of the CJN. And then he also stressed that with his retirement, the North Central Zone, which is represented, which he represents, would no longer have a justice on the Supreme Court bench. Now, he also said when Justice Ejimba Eko, JSC, who also represented a particular zone, retired on the 23rd of May, 2022, which was last year, it has been a year and 5 months, and that position had not been replaced. No one has been made to fill that position. He also said, with the passing of my Lord Honorable Justice Chima Sentus Nweze, JSC, on the 29th of July 2023, the Southeast no longer has any presence at the Supreme Court. My Lord Justice Sylvester Nwali Nguta, JSC, died on 7th March 2021, and there has not been any appointment in his stead for the Southeast. I'm going to stretch this a little bit. Now, as it stands from, I'm quoting him now, as it stands, only 4 geopolitical regions, that's the Southwest, the South-South, the Northwest, and the Northeast, are represented in the Supreme Court. While the South-South and Northeast have 2 7 justices, the Northwest and the Southwest are fully represented with 3. What do you make of this statement?
Former Edo State General Sani Abacha, wherever you are right now, if there is any reason for you to hear what we're saying, possibly you didn't help us much when you micro-zoned, when you further divided the country into geopolitical zones. We lived our lives before your tenure, your regime, because the military one, and we had just the peaceful north, south, and north and south. The south divided into east and west for whatever reasons now. But for administrative convenience, you felt, government is wisdom, made it 6 regions, geopolitical zones: southwest, southeast, south-south, north central, northeast, northwest. And we've had to battle with pettiness, with petulance all our lives. Again and again, I say this, I posit that, must we always see things from this point of view? Yes, sometimes, no, sometimes. My Lord Justice Dati, assuming but not considering, because we are talking legalese now, so let me just act like one pseudo lawyer out there, a paralegal. Why is he saying things this way? I know from all I've read, the process of getting or installing a judge is not as easy as we see it. America will copy. Over time, I remember when, can I remember the justice name now? A lady who was to replace an outgone one by way of death, I guess. Because when she was installed, it became Republican-leaning judges 6 and Democrat-leaning judges 3. You had 9 Supreme Court justices. It was not a case of she being installed, even when she had been nominated by their own version of NJC, Judicial Council. We have every reason to read meanings to whatever happens in there, so that even if Moses Jr. Humphrey doesn't drink, Humphrey Jr. doesn't drink water properly now, we start thinking that, because that's how they drink water from the mother side. We read meanings of virtually everything, and it's not very healthy for us. I know emotions are still raw, but are we going to outgrow this? I think it's about time. If we consider or view the executive from that point, maybe it's acceptable, maybe, and I say that advisedly. If we consider it from the legislature side, maybe it is acceptable. But when we start putting it at the temple of justice, a sacred, holy temple of justice, we now want to align all of this. Like the military, like any endeavor that merit is involved, you don't want to consider issues from this point of view. No. If at a point, I use the national team for example, we are ever fractured, we are ever having our fault lines, ever divided over petty things. But when we won our last Nations Cup, I hope we repeat that next year, at least to win the fourth one will not be out of too much for Nigeria. It was a certain Moses, not your Moses now, Moses, this Chelsea player then, not Moses Praise now, that passed, he was from Northeast, he was from Plateau State, that passed the, no, sorry, not Central, that passed the ball to a certain Sunday Mba, who skinned the Burkinabe player a very lovely goal. Sunday Mba from Southeast, he scored, Nigeria won the match by that long goal. We all forgot at that point our ethnic divides, our racial, whatever, our gender. We felt like Nigerians. If every player representing Nigeria should come from a particular, what do you call now, from a particular region, and they are in there by merit, does it really matter? I think it's about time we grew out of this. When Spain, I'm talking football now, when Spain won their only World Cup, which they've sought forever, in 2010 on African soil here in South Africa, seven of their players in the first 11 that very night when they beat Netherlands were from one club side, Barcelona. But at that point, Barcelona was not what was trending. It was Spain. They all threw aside their bickerings. Oh, it's Barcelona. No, Spain was at stake here, and Spain, even their wonderful ladies that won the recently completed World Cup hosted by Australia and New Zealand. It was a case of 5-6 Barcelona players and Madrid players. They didn't look at all this. It was so irrelevant at that point. So if we borrow leads from these ones, any endeavor where merit is involved, I think merit should be the yardstick of measurement. Merit and not politics.
Okay.
Merit and not politics. If at a point where we have 9 Supreme Court justices and 4 of them are the most senior and they are from the Southeast, let nobody who is not fit by way of promotion, by way of merit, by way of appointment from Southwest or Northwest start bickering. This is not politics. Politics defy calculation, defies logic. That's why sometimes you have somebody from here, okay, we have to compensate. There must be political this and that. Higiaga, let me borrow from my my brother's dictionary. But when it comes to endeavors, arms of government, where merit is the name, please, merit should be the prism of observation. Otherwise, we'll just inject undue politics into it, and it does not help anyone. It does not. It does not. Justice Dati, I cannot controverse it because you are in there, you know better. I can only analyze as from what I see, and I'll do that very, very in a very savvy manner, in a very, very clear manner. The judiciary, until it is trained to the fact that okay, we now elect. Now, when we now elect,
shouldn't we be looking at adjusting the constitution in such a way that the CCJN is elected?
Really?
As against being appointed.
As I've said, if you decide to copy someone and you think that person is worth emulating, then please copy that person, if not perfectly, but at least to a considerable level whereby we know, oh, you actually copied this person. But when you cherry pick, this is what I want from him, this I don't want, and you make a checkered, product from what you've seen, it does not help anyone. Let me just delve a bit into what's going on in Ondo State. Ondo State, and not only Ondo State now, virtually all the states in Nigeria, you have the deputy governors as rubber stamps, and they are just like appendages to G's. They are just irrelevant. They are just there at the mercy of the governor. But some of these governors forget that sometimes they get to office because of the goodwill of deputy, but they get there and they become totally irrelevant. If we copy America truly as we say we copy the presidential democracy, in America, the governor, at least I know of 26 state governors who were elected on a different platform. When Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California, he was a Republican. His deputy, they don't call them deputy governors, they call them lieutenant governors, was a Democrat. A Democrat was as in from the Democratic Party. So that's all of things there. So, and the governor doubles as the state Senate president, because they also have Senate president. So let me just, what I'm saying is that, please, in such a situation, there is no way the deputy governor will ever be an appendage of the governor. He has his own constitutional roles. So if we have to amend, if we have to call, if we say we are copying them, then let's ensure that even our CGN, our justices are elected. And this will settle the case. Otherwise, if they appoint them, if they assume offices by way of merit, then we should not always consider this political this or that.
All right, then. Thank you very much for your robust analysis and your valued thoughts there.
Thank you.
Moses Orisejolomi Adebayo has been my guest on Political Voice. Well, Political Voice makes a return tomorrow, same time. All right. I am Moses Humphrey. On behalf of the team, I wish you a beautiful day. Bye for now.